So, boom. Usually I talk about a lot of astrology, but I can't talk about a lot of astrology because I've already talked about a lot so far. And if I was to talk about all of the transits, then talk about the full moon, this conversation would be for 8 hours. And I don't got that to fucking do. So we gonna edit it. However, I edited it down to 5 minute read at the mystery school. The link is in the description. If you want to get the lowdown on the sun transits, if you want to get the lowdown, and I think it's a Mercury something, Mercury and Jupiter, Mercury and Neptune, which is an interesting transit. Mercury and Neptune, interesting transits. The sun is going to be sextile Pluto and also square Saturn. This is some interesting shit. And I think that y'all should actually read the article. I just don't got time to talk about it. So I just got this picture off the net. But this is Medusa. If you look close, you see them snakes. And man, the black goddess energy is on 10. So I just want to give a ashe to all the mothers out there in these streets, all of the goddesses out here in these streets. You know, these archons and shit, they want to, attack you and shit. Like, it's a lot of shit. Like, women are under attack. Especially goddesses are under attack. Y'all hypnotized, fellas. Y'all don't know. I dare y'all, like, stop looking in y'all phone. Y'all be going straight to the text messages, right? Y'all go straight to the DMs. But look at your wife's feed. Look how much more they advertise to her. Look how much they show girls that don't necessarily look like your wife, but your wife is looking at these women. And who knows if she, understanding it in a way where she feels like, I'm less than. Maybe she's empowered, but, it got to be tough, right? To be under attack like that, to be hypnotized into the physical world, right? And even when you deal with spirituality, you still got people doing technology. People still doing like fake ass spirituality, right? People got to be cute when they do their spirituality. Am I lying? People got to be sexy when they do their spirituality. You can't just be, tuned in and tapped into your divine feminine energy and just letting that be. You are like, well, how you dressing? What you looking like? You wearing makeup? You doing this? You doing that? And dudes be crusty as fuck. I just put on some lip balm for the first time in 10 years this morning. You probably take care of your lips every single day. I just now thought, like, let me put on some goddamn lip balm so my shit don't be cracked up this winter. See, we got some evolving to do, fellas. We got some evolving to do. So this full moon is for my divine feminines in real life, period. And I need y'all to connect to y'all cosmological inheritance. Okay, sisters? Okay, mothers? Okay, goddesses? This ain't the Kevin Samuels, I'ma bash you type energy so I can get rich and famous. No, I'ma lift you up at the sake of it ain't gonna do shit for me, right? I'm not even a woman. I don't even have this fucking power. But it just don't seem like motherfuckers is talking to you in this seem of fashion. I see they doing like, well, you need to get makeup on. Maybe if you get a BBL, sis, these niggas will like you a little more. Wait a second. You mean to take my belly fat away and put it in my ass? And then guys will like me? That's a crazy ass, like, you gotta understand you under attack. Cause if you don't understand you under attack, you just catching them shits, like you just catching it. So I'm sending y'all all the ashe and all of the positive energy. We got a Taurus moon. So the interesting thing about Taurus moon is that we got our Pleiades energy. You see this right here? We got Pleiades, and then we can't really zoom out, but if we was to zoom out, you would see Perseus, and then directly in this line we have the fixed star Algol. I can't show you. I'm not even going to attempt to show y'all. Y'all just gonna have to take my word for it. But look in y'all astrology apps, y'all Starwalk apps, and feel free to look at it yourselves. So The sun is at an interesting spot. It done made its way out of Libra, but not fully into Scorpio. So the sun is going to be in somewhat of a void type energy. Not really conjunct any fixed stars, not any in a sun sign. So when you figure from this perspective, the sun void, of course, the sun's not even in an actual sign. This is really like free energy. It's really a portal. It's really a gateway. Even more so, if you were to get into the head of this actual fixed star as it progresses, it's literally called a gateway. So this full moon is a gateway for you to really prepare for. So if you're not really into the spiritual shit like that, if you never gave a fuck about spirituality, if you never done a ritual before, if you never bought a candle or never like that, or if you do that shit to get boyfriends or girlfriends, if you an adept, I feel like you should just wipe your shit off the table and start from the ground up and really start to really imagine and hypnotize yourself into your best life possible, because your neighbor probably drive a Tesla, and then your other neighbor catch the bus to go to work. We all produce and predict and create our own life in our own world based upon our own personal understandings of how we do our own shit. So it's not to say because your neighbor got a Tesla that you supposed to get a Tesla. It is not to say that your other neighbor, because they on the bus, mean that you supposed to get on the bus. You could do something else completely different. Take airplane lessons, right? So let's talk about this sun energy, and then we're going to deep dive this moon. No pun intended. So this first deacon, we're going to say Scorpio for lack of a better understanding, because once again, Scorpio, the sun will exist in Scorpio for 7 days. It spends this next week really just, well, it's in Libra now. So moving into next week is not going to even be in a sign until that next week where it enters Scorpio, and it stays in Scorpio for 7 days. Then it enters into Ficus. So, but we could still say it's Scorpio, but it's also like a void, and it's like a place where you really have to either release or you really have to take some risk in your life, right? Hard to take risks if you're disappointed. It's hard to take risks if you're imbalanced. Now, some people cannot handle what has taken. Well, if you read the article, we talk about a lot of building up to this energetically. Because as we speak, today being Monday, the sun is in Libra. So it's conjunct the fixed star of El Macarab or something to that effect. But the nature of this star is the price of conflict, where you address your issues, you deal with your shit, and then you deal with the overall outcome of that. If you deal with it correctly, you say, all right, I get what I want. But generally, we're not dealing with shit. We're afraid of it. We're worried about it. We're letting fear make our decisions for us. And this is causing imbalance. Thus, we don't know for real what love is. We don't know what success is, because we're segmenting and compartmentalizing our reality, and we're trying to act like our emotions can flow like that. And it just don't. So this creates a buildup, and it also creates unrealistic expectations. I'm only going to want the best of life, and because I don't got the best in life, I'm not going to act. I'm not going to do this. You're giving yourself excuses, basically. And this is it's going to be very difficult for people who can't address everything that they need to address. Because most people say, well, I don't really need to address it because I'm getting away with it. Can't you see my fake smile? And just because I'm giving you fake smile energy, and it's like people will show up in your life with fake smiles and expect you to just not be inquisitive at all. Because they've shown with the fake smile energy, you're supposed to be like, this is all there is to you. But a psychologically adept person is always going to figure out, like, once I do this and that, you're going to act different. And it might even get to the point where you advance, so you start to see how are they going to act in negative situations. because that's what you need to figure out, as opposed to hoping that a negative situation don't ever come, because it will come. And it's like, if you prepare, if you with the right team member, if you prepare at the right level, it's different from like knowing what to expect and being with somebody that you prepared for and y'all a team versus somebody who, when shit just happen, is chaos. And a deeper, even more chaos is because you actually attracted it, because you're not dealing with like, because this is a powerful full moon. When I say powerful, I don't say good, I don't say bad. You know, if you dealing with bombs, your ass might blow up. But if you are actually doing the actual spiritual work, to like, I'm a true believer in spiritual processes. But I'm also understanding that you gotta actually do the shit. You gotta know how it works, and you gotta be serious in your endeavors. So, say for instance, we're doing spiritual work and we're in a relationship, and there's shadow work within our relationship. It's shadow work within our careers. I'm talking about me and my wife. We're gonna have to deal with that shit. We can't just be like alakazam, alakazoo, abracadabra, because part of our emotional process is water and emotions. If we're not honest, then that's like a damn. What I mean by honest is like, maybe I want to do something that I'm not being able to do, but I'm just trying to make her happy, but I'm not having the conversation to say, hey, I want to do this. Right? And it could turn out negative, it could turn out positive, but at the same time, if I'm not honest, I can only speak for myself. If I'm not honest, then it's a damn. Now, I'm a very spiritual person, and I can't have negative emotional relationship issues and bring that into my ritual, because that's disrupting and distracting my inner world. So sometimes we try to throw a rug over our fucking toxicity and our fucking savage ass relationships and try to stand on top of them and do pentagrams in the sky. It don't work like that. You're gonna have to live, like, you really got to deal with the real to real of all of your shit. And the beautiful part is that you can find it through your worry. What are you worried about? Start resolving that, right? Start resolving that. Back to this moon. So this moon is going to conjunct the fixed star Algol, and Algol, let me see. Do I got the picture? I don't. So let's deal with this, because we're going to need some visual aid. Algol fixed star. So boom. The fixed star Algol, a rare triple star, an eclipsing binary, located in the Medusa's head, carried in the left hand of the hero in the star Perseus. Do they have a picture of it? They don't. I can show y'all a better picture. So this is the head of Medusa, and the fixed star is right in her third eye. So this mythology is centered, and this fixed star is the fixed star of Medusa. So when you hear the mythology of Medusa, you might think that they're talking about a person, and they very well could be talking about a person, but they're also talking about a constellation in a star system, right? And it's a real energy, because men created the conversation in relation to our understanding of spirituality. So if we, like, if you telling me a story about something and you created it, I somehow got to take your story at face value, right? I have to take your story at face value. But the reality is that as you do your deeper understanding, you do your deeper research, you'll see, okay, it's not really like that. And they really are talking about it from an aspect of fear. So I'm going to go over my quick notes and we're going to do some reading and we're going to really hammer home this aspect because I want the women to be empowered this whole entire week in reference to their cosmological inheritance. Because Medusa is the third energy of the Gorgon. Now, two of the energies of the Gorgon is immortal. Now, Medusa is mortal, representing mortal women's aspect of the divine spiritual immortality. So you get to experience what it is to be mortal and immortal. So I want you to fully understand your power without a shadow of a doubt, but also you yield your power, stand in your power. Don't be afraid of your power. Don't let somebody who would fucking give you cunnilingus all for the rest of his life talk shit about you, right? Was gonna say dive in your muff, but y'all didn't probably would. That's probably an old reference. I wouldn't understand. Y'all probably don't understand cunnilingus either, but men worship women, okay? The reality is that women don't worship themselves. The gods need to wake up their energy, but it has to be a real understanding of your God force energy. And you can find it in the cosmos. You can find it in the mythology, okay? So this moon will be conjunct the fixed star, the head of the demon or the female demon or the wife of the devil. They choose these words very carefully in describing this energy. Oh Lordy. Algol embodies the energy that men fear in the feminine. She is not the mother face goddess. She is not your grandma. She is the passionate lover. She is the whore. She is the female kundalini energy resting at the base of your spine. Let's explain this a little further. And this is taken from Brady's Book of Fixed Stars. Algol was called Raz Al Ghul. You might have heard that in Batman Begins, which means the head of the demon, and they consider her a female demon or wife of the devil. Ptolemy labeled the star the brightest one of those in Gorgon's head. The Chinese called her the piled up corpses. And of course, you're talking about masculine energy who wants to be the king of the world. They don't want you to understand that you have an unconscious spiritual mind that's just as powerful as the physical world. They want you to engage in the outer world and let your outer world be reflective of your inner, because if you were to deal with your inner, your goddess, your Lilith, you would not submit to the patriarchy. However, if you have no concept of who you are as a spiritual being, you will submit to the physical and to the patriarchy by nature. You don't know how strong you are. This conversation is specifically for you to understand how strong you are from a cosmological perspective, from a mythological perspective. Therefore, you will walk with your head held head high. And then when you experience what you experience, you will understand that maybe it's a lesson in that, but otherwise, you're still a goddess, right? She refused to be submissive to his needs. Lilith then fled to paradise, where she became the demon of the wind. She was considered a curse since she gave sexual pleasure, and this was the cause of all male wet dreams. This eventually led Jewish, Muslim, and Christian cultures to the suppression of all sexual pleasures, which then led to the suppression of sexual women energy. Algol, listen to this, Algol thus embodied everything that men feared in the feminine. She is not the mother-faced goddess, but rather the passionate lover or the whore. She is female Kundalini energy. And this is in the words of Barbara Black, Cultive. I'm going to read a little further. Algol, this star, in reference to Algol, this star seems to contain immense female passion and power. It is the power of the feminine or the potential power of Mother Nature. And it is not to be called evil for being strong. Okay? The reason why you look at spiritual energy as being evil, or if you look at a thing called being devilish, is mainly because it's feminine and because it's powerful from a spiritual aspect, from a spiritual point of view. And so this outrage that exists in the world is because men are frustrated because they have no power. And these are our ancestors. It's not men today, but men today don't know no better, the same way as women don't know no better, because none of us created the world that we're in, okay? None of us created this world. We're all subject to the world that we were presented in. However, understanding it, there is a clear suppression of spiritual energy. And they won't tell you where your spiritual energy is. I'll tell you all the time, but y'all won't listen to me. Maybe now y'all start to open up your minds. Raise your Kundalini. I got a whole book on teaching you how to raise your Kundalini, exercises, everything that you need to know about raising your Kundalini. But I ain't about to raise your Kundalini for you. The book not going to raise your Kundalini for you. But the reason why a person wouldn't raise their Kundalini is because they don't find it important. They don't feel like this is something that they need to focus on. Well, I would hate to keep beating my head out here in these streets and feeling negative and looking at, what would be my power center as a negative thing. So let's look at this a little closer. This full moon takes place in Algol, and we can bear witness that it happens in this Medusa area of the sky. It represents the third eye of Medusa. But what is Medusa? Well, according to Judica Illis, Medusa is an ancient goddess that epitomizes the power and magic of menstruation. So every month you have a display of your power, and I guarantee if you don't tune in and tap into my wife or me, you probably think that your menstruation is an evil, negative aspect to your life. But don't y'all understand when they say that they chopped off Medusa's head is that they gave you regurgitation of how you should hate your period and hate your menstruation. And I'm going to make it make sense. Give me a second. According to Judica Illis, Medusa is the goddess of menstrual power, and it can be used to destroy or create. You can use your menstrual power to create a child, or you can use your menstrual power to destroy your baby daddy life. And y'all done did it. Y'all done wish bad on niggas during y'all menstruation, and he called you, my leg broke. I can't move. I need your help, baby, and I only want you to help me. And you like, so the reason that we can connect Medusa to the moon, to menstruation, is found in the word menses. Because what does menses mean? Menses means moon. Let's look at the etymology. Menses, etymology. Ooh, that was bad. The menses is a monthly discharge of blood from the uterus. Menses, plural menses, month, see, moon. So moon, menses, monthly, discharge blood from the uterus, moon, same word. So Medusa heavenly body which revolves about the earth monthly. What? I don't even, what? How do those two, a heavenly body which revolves about the earth monthly? They're not talking about that fucking ball in the sky. Y'all know that, right? When we talk about the moon, we're not talking about that fucking ball. That ball is to fucking have us hypnotized. To us really thinking that that's what the moon is. We just explained that menses is a monthly discharge of blood from the uterus. Taken from the word month, but you can't get the word month without the word moon. So your monthly is the same as a moon, but let's just deal with it a little deeper. In the Ojibwe tradition, menstruation is known as moon time. Traditionally, a woman takes refuge at home during the time to rest and reflect. Women have great power during their moons. Women have great power during their moons. Women have great power during their moons. As they bleed, they are sloughing off the accumulated experience and stress of being a woman. Some of those experiences are painful or may contain negative energy, so we want to be careful that we don't interrupt that process. We're talking about purity, okay? We're talking about cutting, and we're talking about removing the negative energies so we can get to a place of purity. Now, I got a great book that'll help you do this at columbianexchange.com. It's called Womb. My wife put this book together. It helps women journal their actual cycle. You might think that you don't need it because you gonna do what you gonna do anyways, but have you kept track of what happens every month as your cycle and your hormones go up? I'm gonna tell you another thing about this ovulation. Ovulation is so amazing because it literally pulls all of the hormones in your body and pushes a egg out of the tube, and it's like this egg that's like being exposed for a day or so, and because of that egg being exposed, you'll be like, damn, I'm horny, right? But the reality is that's amazing. You got a high amount of hormones that's taking place that you might not even want a kid, but you can really tune in and tap into your manifestations. And you might not be on the track of this full moon that's in the sky. Your full moon your ovulation might be happening now. Your ovulation might be happening last week. Your new moon, full moon is different for each woman, but y'all all got a monthly, y'all all got a menses, and y'all all got power. And you can bear witness to your power. You can bear witness to your cycle. You need to begin to understand your cycles and how you think in relation to your hormones. Because if you have a high energy of estrogen, then you're not going to be thinking the same. And I know you can do it all. You done got it all. You done got it figured out. You boss all big dog. But I'm just trying to give you some aid in reference to your inner world. Because yes, you do look good. Yes, you do got the money. And yes, you do be hitting us with the fake smile energy. But at the end of the day, what is that inner world looking like? But let's still deal with this moon. This moon will be in the nakshatra of Kritaka. Kritaka is ruled by the deity of Agni. Now, Kritaka is the first nakshatra, is the first cycle, is the beginning of a new lunar cycle. These key themes, I don't know what the hell they be talking about. I just be showing y'all the little image of the god. Kritaka represents Taurus energy, Taurus/Aries energy. So you got the fire of the earth. Kritaka represents a razor. The symbol is a razor, right? What does this razor symbol mean? It means cut all the bullshit out your life, right? It means start over. And from the spiritual perspective, you should be able to start off. From the human perspective, it's too much trauma and too much emotional energy for you to be able to tackle it all with your thoughts. We're talking about serious ritual. We're talking about serious magic. And we're talking about, if you're going to access this level of magic that exists within you, you're going to have to cut all of the self-defeating bullshit that you tell yourself all the time. Well, my daddy didn't love me like he was supposed to, blah, blah, blah type shit. Like, okay, what about your daddy when you was in 1540? I don't know who he is. Why you keep talking about shit that I don't remember? Because I'm keep trying to tell you that your emotions ain't really emotions. They just fake ass memories and fake ass imaginations. Even so, write the story in reference to what happened between you and your punk ass daddy and release it from your mind. That's an active imagination, and sell a fucking short story on how your daddy ain't shit. And tell everybody in the world how much your daddy ain't shit. At least get paid for it. Because all the time you keep telling yourself that your daddy ain't shit, you wasting time and energy, and you ain't getting paid. Write a goddamn novel about that nigga. Call it Papa Was a Rolling Stone, right? Since you want to let that be your dominant thoughts. Agni, the god of fire, is consuming, transforming, and transferring all of the bullshit out of your way. This is the fire of the soul, right? The fire of the soul is activated because Venus will be in sidereal Sagittarius, trining Uranus in sidereal Aries. That's two fire energies. So the thing about a trine is that you're dealing with synchronicity of the same elemental energy. So it's like a double down of fire energy. And when you talk about your twin flame, when you talk about the truth of your experience, you want it to consume all the bullshit that don't exist within that realm. You want to transform from being in a bullshit realm to being in a realm of truth. You want to transfer. You want to get into a vehicle and go from point A to point B with nothing stopping you. That's the opportunity of hypnotizing yourself. Biggie, 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 can't you see? Right? But this fire is that candle flame that will activate your subconscious mind to have you start to do some real fucking work out here in these streets. We talking about alignment. We talking about lunar eclipse. Now, this full moon lunar eclipse, even though it's fucking November, it represents the start of a lunar year. The sun clock is not the moon clock. The sun clock and the moon clock is different. Now, the sun starts over January 1st. The moon will start over November 19th. That's the beginning of your year. So this week, you should be doing the new year shit that you be doing, cleaning up, getting rid of shit, organizing, and things of that nature as you begin to prepare for a new cycle. If you do the spiritual work, if you do the ritualistic work, we outline how to fucking hypnotize yourself. Hypnotizing is how you heal yourself, period. You hypnotize yourself into your desires to the point that you acting in reference to your desires and nothing is stopping you because you're not watching fucking Tyler Perry movies all day. You're dealing with your meditation. So why do we deal with astrology? Like I said, Kritika, however you pronounce it, means creation, means to move. This is the beginning of a lunar cycle. We're going to observe these lunar cycles for another 13 lunar cycles and have these conversations and downloads. I'm going to be like it's another full moon lunar eclipse for another year. You should have a fucking intention that will say, next year, hood, I'm going to be in my Bubble Eye Benz on 20-inch rims. The next time you go live. The next time, hood, I'm going to be in my house that I manifested because I've been doing the work to reference the house that I manifested. This is having an intention and manifesting that. Black people, I need you to understand we not absolved from manifesting things in our lives. Black people, we're not absolved from meditating and opening up our third eye chakra and transferring our mundane spirit, our mundane energy, physical energy, and transferring it into the cosmos. Specifically to when Perseus cut off Medusa, he cut off our connection to the cosmos, but because I study sidereal astrology and Vedic astrology, I'm able to bring that connection back. See, I'm not just talking about stars and planets with y'all. I'm talking about your fucking menstruation. I'm talking about your moon energy. And I'm saying you need to get on top of that shit. I'm saying you need to understand your hormones. I'm saying you need to understand what's happening. Fellas, you can't be with a woman and just be like, turn over and give me that pussy. You got to understand what's happening on the inside, right? So this is the beginning. This is the creation. This is the vehicle. Your intentions and your manifestations will not be difficult over 2021 and 2022. Why? Because you're going from the inside out, because you're hypnotizing yourself in reference into the best life, and you're not worried about the other hypnotizing. Because what are they saying when they say 2022 is going to be crazy? What are they doing? They're hypnotizing you. Why? Because hypnotizing ain't good or bad. It's necessary. Y'all understand that, I hope. So, on the 19th, now this is some crazy shit. Venus will be conjunct the fixed star Nunki. I had to zoom in so far to get this fixed star. This is how much Venus is going to be conjunct this fixed star. Absolutely conjunct the fuck out of this fixed star this on November 19th. Venus, the planet of love, conjunct the fixed star of Nunki. Nunki represents feminine energy. It is the base of the arrow of Sagittarius. It's very much on big fucking leadership, authority, like being top dog, boss hog. And since it's trine or Uranus, so like I was saying earlier, Venus will be in Sagittarius, fire energy. Uranus will be in Aries, fire energy. And these energies will be trine. These energies will be in sync. These energies will be one. So Uranus is waking you up to your primordial start. This is very important as Black people. This is why the world is the way that it is, because it's not to say that we're starting over or resetting or things of that nature. It is just beginning at a new cycle. Now, is it Hotepian enough for me to say I don't know my previous lifetime mama and daddy? I don't care about them damn people. I don't even know them. So now you can bear witness to that, but it's not righteous to say like I don't be knowing people in reference to cycles and things of that nature. The people that I grew up with, I know them, I understand that they exist, but at the same time, I don't really care that much. Because we've been on too many cycles and too many loop-de-loops for me to be like, what I care about now is what I care about now. And I don't even know if I'm going to care about the same things come around the next cycle. And we reference this cycle of Uranus in reference to the cycle that's happening with the moon. Because if you look closer, you see that the moon and Uranus will be in proximity as we start off this lunar cycle. So we're bringing this fire energy, the Nakshatra energy, the god of fire. We're getting a lot of fire vibes. Fire could mean what you want it to mean. I view it as the unconscious or activating the subconscious mind and tuning into our primordial fire of being assertive and saying that this is what I want. Meaning that you see white people do this all the fucking time. Black people, we be in the fucking hood. Mentally, emotionally. Meaning that we can't even project the life that we want from a spiritual level because racism is that fucking real that it invades your spiritual understanding of what you can actually manifest. So the anxiety of the external world begins to be fucking digested in our spiritual practice. And this is why it's the most important thing to start from the inner world first. Because on the outer world, you clearly see racism, even if you don't want to see it. So these are some celebrities who were born conjunct Nunki. Rihanna's midhaven is conjunct Nuki down to the zero, probably a 0.39 minute conjunction, but damn near conjunct. Rihanna is a billionaire. So if her midhaven is conjunct Nuki, this is her career. This is what she gonna be in life. She gonna be a billionaire. Now, our goddamn Venus will be conjunct Nikki as a collective. So maybe you have a daughter born. Oh, that's interesting. You could have a kid being born during this time. The kid that is born during this time is going to be extremely fortunate. Extremely, extremely fortunate based upon cosmological understandings. You can use Rihanna as an example. But you could also use this as an example. Now, this is creepy. Venus conjunct Nuki, heart rules the head and favors from the opposite sex and many friends. All right, that's that. But then Miley Cyrus was born with Venus conjunct Nuki, and Michael Jordan was born with Venus conjunct Nuki. This combination of two people, I instantly was like, what the hell? And I had to get my Googles, and I was like, don't Miley Cyrus got a fucking song called 23? She got a song called 23. And you know who produced it? Michael Jordan. Mike Will made it. I said, that's weird. But even deeper, if you Google Michael Jordan and Miley Cyrus, you start to see some real weird shit, fam. Like, she really be wearing Michael Jordan jerseys, and she had a CD called 23. Like, she really, the only way that this, like, she don't be watching Michael Jordan basketball. She not no goddamn basketball fan. Maybe she is. I'm just talking popping shit. But at the same time, the only way that this makes sense to me is if people was doing goddamn sidereal astrologies, which I say that's the astrology that the elites use. The elites don't use Western astrology, fam. The reason why y'all think is because y'all tuned in and tapped into a hypnotic frequency. You're not going to be able to get in that much downloads until you start breaking down these goddamn nakshatras and these damn fixed stars. Once you get into these fixed stars, it's like, what the hell was you doing wearing all this Michael Jordan shit and y'all share the same goddamn conjunction of Nuki? Now, I'm saying all of this to say, hey, these is millionaires we talking about. This song got like 900, it's almost going to have 1 billion views in a second. By next year, this song going to have 1 billion views. Like, this song got crazy views. Rihanna, fucking billionaire. We just using all of these as analogies and understandings and correspondences to what could possibly happen in reference to our twin flame energy. See, what this shows me, you got to read the article, but I'm getting into explaining the twin flame portal. This is the fact of them being twin flames. Miley Cyrus and Michael Jordan. A twin flame don't always got to make perfect sense to you. But imagine if you put out a CD called 23 and you got $1 billion views and now you got generational wealth. I mean, you was probably born with generational wealth, but it's probably some black writers, black producers, black beat makers, black instrumentalists that don't got to go to work today because they worked on this fucking CD. I guarantee you it's a motherfucker right now that don't got to do shit because he know Mike Will. And Mike Will said, man, I need you to help me with this drum pattern. I got this shit with Miley Cyrus. I need you to write this line for Miley Cyrus. Dumb, stupid checks. That's twin flame energy. Twin flame energy, you gotta expect the best thing to happen for you. And this is why I'm so hard on y'all to be real serious about your spiritual work this week, because I know that a great miracle is happening for y'all. Without a shadow of a doubt, I ain't even gotta wonder, I ain't even gotta wish. The only thing that's gonna happen is if you don't do this work. And it'll just be another motherfucking Friday, right? I done lay a whole bunch of different shit out here to get y'all in the game this week. And y'all can read the article. If you got your period during this goddamn full moon lunar eclipse, then get to the fucking work with that shit, right? Get to the fucking work. Stop hating your period. Start loving your period, because your period is your power. Right? Hope y'all enjoyed this little broadcast, man. You know, I'm going to cut this up, upload some of this stuff again, so people who got that ADHD, they could tune in and tap into it, get their hypnosis controlled, because I'm going to leave this message, I'm going to leave y'all with this message, man. Hypnosis is not good or bad. Hypnosis is necessary, man. Y'all have a wonderful week. Be sure to email me, email my wife if you're interested. Get into your shadow work journal this week. For sure, get into your shadow work journal this week. Get into your Kundalini energy this week. Ladies, get that ovulation energy together. Get that monthly energy together, because we all tuned in and tapped into the inner world as a collective family. And I'm not tuned in and tapped into your inner world. You tapped in and tuned into your own inner world. You feel me? So with that being said, man, y'all have a wonderful, wonderful week. I love y'all. You know, much love to you and your families and everybody that love you.